Hey there, I'm Mark, in affiliation with Spectrum Pulse, and we got a double album bomb this week, and it's Billboard BREAKDOwn.
I don't remember.
So here's something that I feel like any chart nerd or music fan too deep might need reminding, and I include myself in that. Just because you yourself might be done with an artist doesn't mean their label or, the general public is. I was sick of Drake in 2016 off of Views, and in 2025, I'm still not sure he can't make a comeback. So when I had a momentary burst of surprise that both Lil Baby and Bad Bunny got considerable album bombs this week, I had to take a step back. It's the beginning of 2025, there's little else competing with them, there's no guarantee it's gonna last for more than just 1 week. I think Bad Bunny has a bigger shot, maybe, we'll see. And even with that, they have mainstream fan bases who were inevitably excited for both of them, even if I'm decidedly not, or if they're, in Lil Baby's case, some backlash on social media. But before we get into all of that, our top 10, where for another week, Die With A Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars holds the number 1, and it's pretty definitive at this point. Dominating streaming, it still has radio momentum, it's selling well, I'm not seeing the obvious competition to it, especially as a bar song Tipsy by Shaboozey looks like it's slipping into decline at number 2. It still has the top spot on the radio, but again, starting to slip, and streaming is falling off sharply. And right now, while Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish has a better streaming margin at number 3, it's not close to closing any of the gaps on the radio. Now, what might be is our new entry into the top 10 from last week, Smile by Morgan Wallen at number 4. Huge sales push, surging on streaming, but the radio hasn't touched it yet, probably because it's so low-key. It'll be fascinating to see if and when Nashville throws some serious weight behind it. For now, it did get ahead of Apartment by Rosé and Bruno Mars at number 5, which has upward sales and radio momentum. It is making a run, but the streaming's starting to slip. Might be too little too late. Even if it held over Lose Control by Teddy Swims down to number 6, as its recovery can obscure how it's effectively fading in all categories. Then we got Luther by Kendrick Lamar and SZA at number 7. The streaming is still rock solid, but I think it'll be a question if the radio comes out in full. The push is there, but Kendrick also has a number of other songs circulating, and that might make a focus push a bit more difficult in traditional formats. At least has the edge over That's So True by Gracie Abrams at number 8, where, again, the streaming is solid, and she's got an edge on radio traction, but she's losing on the margins there. And finally, we got 2 radio hits that are now just in free fall. I Had Some Help by Post Malone featuring Morgan Wallen at number 9, and Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter at number 10. Although in her case, radio was a bizarrely good week to offset the big streaming losses. And that will naturally take us to our losers and our dropouts here. And well, in the latter category, the biggest are probably I Love You, I'm Sorry by Gracie Abrams, and maybe 25 by Rod Wave. When we go to our losers, God, we got a full third of the Hot 100 again. Look, I'm not surprised. A double album bomb week will do that. It's just draining to run through this wild oscillation with songs going up and down the charts over and over again. But okay, let's start off with the returns from last week that lost out, like Who by Jimin at 39, $1 Million Baby by Tommy Richmond at 40, Die For That by Post Malone and Luke Combs at 78, No Pole by Don Toliver at 80, I Ain't Sayin' by Jordan Davis at 81, Am I Okay by Megan Maroney at 82, Bad Dreams by Teddy Swims at 85, Close to You by Gracie Abrams at 96, Diet Pepsi by Addison Rae at 97, and Burnin' Down by Alex Warren at 98. Then we had the new arrivals that did not catch on, like Loco by Nuttin Vega at 62, and Boys Back Home by Dylan Marlowe and Dylan Scott at 88. I'm not going to complain about either here. Then might as well mention the SZA album mom cuts that are fading, like Scorsese Baby Daddy at 70 and Drive at 91. And hell, let's go the Kendrick Lamar album bomb cuts fading too, like Peekaboo with AZ Chike at 90, and Hey Now with Dodie 6 at 93. And now, the rest. Pink Pony Club by Chappell Roan at 47, Liar by Jelly Roll at 49, I Never Lie by Zach Top at 55, I'm Gonna Love You by Cody Johnson and Carrie Underwood at 56, 4x4 by You by Lainey Wilson at 58, Indigo by Sam Barber featuring Avery Anna at 61, It's Okay I'm Okay by Tate McRae at 63, and Good News by Shaboozey at 64. Then we got Defying Gravity from Wicked at 67, also popular at 92, Tuboda by Oscar Maiden and Fuerza Regida at 68, 68, Que Pasaria by Raul Alejandro and Bad Bunny at 72, Think I'm in Love with You by Chris Stapleton at 75. You can't drop this from the Hot 100 Billboard, it's getting ridiculous now. Residuals by Chris Brown at 79, Help Me by Real Boston Richie at 84, Dancing Through the Flames by The Weeknd at 87. Again, it's a real bad sign for that album. Heart of a Woman by Summer Walker at 89, and Dos Dias by Tito Double P at 100. But okay, what's filling in the gaps here? Well, outside of Morgan Wallen entering the top 10, the only two gains are from Bad Bunny with El Club at 37 and Pitoro de Coco at 60. Because without any returns this week, we are in full double album bomb territory where they both have over 12 new songs. That's insane. It speaks to how generally weak the charts are right now for new material. It means I technically only need to cover the best, worst, and the top 20 for both projects, which actually makes this week somewhat tolerable, I guess. But okay, let's start with the Lil Baby songs that didn't make it, and there's a lot of them because this album is thoroughly uninteresting. Free Promo at 99, Stiff Gang at 86, So Sorry at 74. Probably the best song on the album, but Lil Baby post-breakup trying to win this girl back takes a few too many turns into questionable territory. Due for a Win at 73, I Promise at 71, Listen Up at 65, F You Two Times at 57, Redbone with GloRilla at 53, would add a shot if the production's actually decent. Stuff with Travis Scott at 51, Outfit with 21 Savage at 50, and By Myself with Rilo Rodriguez featuring Rod Wave at 44. But let's not forget the Bad Bunny songs here, and apologies in advance for my bad Spanish. From the bottom up, La Mudanza at 95, Café Con Ron with Los Pleneros de la Cresta at 83, Turista at 77, Kloufrens at 66, EO at 54, Weltita with Chuwi at 52, Perfumito Nuevo with RaiNao at 45, Vilda with Omar Courts and DeBÍ at 43, DTMF at 35, Voy a Leverte pa Puerto Rico at 36, Bala Innovoidable at 28, and Nuevo at 27. And now for the list. Actually kind of looks somewhat reasonable, a little bit easier to handle. Let's get it started with number 94, Lo que la Paso a Hawaii by Bad Bunny. One thing that became apparent with the Bad Bunny album, aside from an avalanche of angst that can be a lot to sit through, is that the project felt very deeply rooted in his Puerto Rican heritage in the cultural music. And it honestly leads to some of the best songs on the album, where his political side can be more infused with slightly more interesting production and texture. Now this is probably my favorite out of that group, taking some fizzier scratches over top the acoustics and that pulsating synth, as Bad Bunny stays a little bit more restrained in his vocals to highlight a sharp juxtaposition of US imperialism in both the colonization of Puerto Rico and Hawaii, leading to mass displacement of the locals, economic hardship, and then exploitation by American corporations. And it's also a lane where Bad Bunny's angst kind of lands pretty well. He can sell the pain of family being forced off their land, losing their heritage. And even if I wish the song had a little bit more rugged edge to it in comparison with other tracks that he's made politically in this lane, I think it's really solid. I really wish more of the album sounded like this, but again, we'll get to it. In the meantime, very good song. Number 76, Denial is a River by Doechii.
Nigga did me dirtier than laundry. Took a scroll through his IG just to get a DM from his wife.
Okay, I don't want to nitpick too much here. I like Doechii a lot. Alligator Bites Never Heal was among my favorite albums of 2024, even though it's technically a mixtape. And I'm thrilled that her proper mainstream push is taking place independent of Kodak Black. I'm just not sure I would have picked Denial as a River as the single to be pushed when Nissan Altima or Catfish or even Wait feel like slightly better choices. But that being said, Denial as a River is great, even if I think it's a little bit unrepresentative of Doechii as a whole, with a very quirky 80s hip-hop vibes and the synth and the very old-fashioned storytelling flows. Although to her credit, her rhyme schemes and expressiveness put her in a higher tier compared to a lot of that, and basically it's telling the story of how she came up, up, the X on the DL, getting signed, moving to LA, where even for as much drug abuse and partying, she's not exactly holding it together. It's not as empowering to her as she wants it to be. Her self-worth is at an all-time low. And thus I can see why it took off as a good introduction to Doechii's story as a rapper, plus her existing TikTok virality, laying some of that foundation. I guess we'll see what can be built off it. Because if the mixtape and this song proves anything, there's a lot of potential going forward. This is great. Number 69, Bokete by Bad Bunny. See, I want to be forgiving of Bad Bunny embracing textures that are a little rougher, carry more texture, not these off-key warbles that sound like the synthesizer is perpetually dying as Bad Bunny drowns out in reverb with a lo-fi clank barely passing as percussion until something more textured kind of shambles in. But you know, I could see this production having some character if Bad Bunny's vocals weren't polished and compressed within an inch of his life, or that the music didn't abruptly drop out for Bad Bunny to go off in Spanish and kill any of the mood. He sells it much better singing than speaking, but it's the content which really killed it for me, because this is the post-breakup but not really over it song where the writing doesn't remotely fit the instrumentation, where he's ranting that she let the best thing in her life slip away. He compares her to a pothole in Puerto Rico where he was afraid of losing her but not more than death, and he's now alive, but the door is also totally open if they want to fall in love again. He likes being in love. I don't know, it just feels so self-serving and ugly. The sound of Bad Bunny that reminds me way more of Drake than it should. So in other words, it's not good. And you know, while we're here, number 59, Ketu Tecre by Bad Bunny. Another post-breakup cut that seems a bit more upbeat with the synth warbles, but there goes that stock reggaeton percussion and somehow gets even blockier and clunkier. That's before we get those ugly stuttering vocal chops that try to build to some faux gothic swell for a bridge, but it doesn't feel like there's any commitment to it. But again, the larger problem is Bad Bunny here, who's gonna spend the entire song leering at this ex who's now having fun out at the club, and he knows that she'll only call if it's late and she's drunk, even as her mom is worrying. The Drake-esque concern trolling is not a good look, Bad Bunny. But by the second verse, he's just outright dissing her after he called her at 2 a.m., where the jealous and pissy side comes out, and again, it doesn't match the production at all. And sure, there might be some self-awareness that all of this is toxic. At the end of the first verse, there's the implication he is just as reckless, but with only his over-polished voice dominating the mix, you can't escape both the hypocrisy and the ugliness. And what bothers me so much is that for as many interesting production flourishes and moments that try to be forward-thinking on this album, you just get these tonal disasters as breakup songs that are neither fun nor cathartic. In other words, it sucks. Next, number 29, Tweaker by G3 Gelo.
This bitch start letting shit go, and I heard that she wanna show me who she be. I'm kinda fucking with it, show me some more.
So let's talk about the other exception to the album bombs this week, and one where there actually needs to be a bit of an explanation. So G3 Gelo is the alias of LiAngelo Ball, one of 3 Ball brothers, all of which played NBA basketball or the G League at some point, with Lonzo Ball in the Chicago Bulls, with his career being somewhat derailed by injuries, LaMelo Ball in the Charlotte Hornets basically being the face of the franchise, and LiAngelo Ball mostly in the G League. I bring all this up because his basketball career has been the least impressive, and quite frankly, I had no clue what acumen for music he might have, which makes this a little bit awkward because I actually think this is pretty damn good. Now, some of that is probably 2000s Southern rap nostalgia. I grew up with it, especially in how he melodically bends around phrases, stacks up his main vocal line across an octave, and features some crooning ad-libs that I think are pretty hilarious. And the weedy pianos alongside the trap skitter are are reasonably well mastered in order to keep all the focus on him. And even the flows are pretty good. LiAngelo Ball occasionally tries to cram a few too many words or not enough words into the bar. He's not a great singer, but he's got some theatricality and flair. Kinda makes up for the writing only being so-so, including a shout out to his dad LeVar Ball, who has amassed his own media personality pushing the brand. You're not gonna convince me he's starting from the bottom, especially as his likability kind of peters out in the second verse when he's trying to take your girl, but he's ultimately put off by her asking for a follow on social media. In any case, I'm fairly certain this is going to work, and the multi-million-dollar contract he just got from Def Jam will probably help it along. And while I don't know if he's got more in the tank beyond this, the song is pretty good. I guess I'll take it. And finally, number 16, Dumb, Dumb, and Dumber by Lil Baby, Young Thug, and Future.
One chance, slaughter out and gave her one band. 25 cars, one man. Driveway like a mini dealership. He went sour, cut the business.
Hey look, the biggest song debuting from Lil Baby has two big features, both bigger names and featuring on a title that made my eyes roll instantly. Are you talking about yourselves here, guys, or the audience who still apparently buys into these tired, interchangeable collaborations? Anyway, in between the gauzy synth trying to be bombastic alongside the chalky trap percussion, and all three men just running through brand names, expensive cars, foreign women, and all the money that they have without anything close to a hook, what exactly is supposed to be interesting or impressive about this song? Yeah, Young Thug has a verse on this post being out of jail, but all the old melodic and kooky lyrical flair is just gone now. And none of these verses wind up feeling all that special. What do you know? The story of this Lil Baby album. So yeah, pass. And yes, that actually ends off our week. If you're wondering why this wound up a little bit late regardless of the runtime, it's what happens when you still have to listen to all the songs comprising both of these album bombs, and also your editing software gets an update that is so catastrophic it nearly breaks your computer. Anyway, beyond my nonsense, the best is going to Denial's a River by Doechii, with honorable mention to Loke Le Paso a Hawaii by Bad Bunny. And Bad Bunny's taking both of the worst spots here, with Bokete as the worst, with Ketu Tecre as the dishonorable mention. Next week, well, I guess the aftermath of all of this. I don't think there's anything coming to replace it. Stay tuned for that. But until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Billboard Breakdown, affiliated with Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.